people who are both the dumb and the criminals, who don't just break the law, but then they go and post the evidence of their law breaking to the internet, are, in fact, you're getting a FAFO in the actual legal sense. Mess around, find out. We'll do a MAFO because I'm trying not to swear, although I'm not succeeding at it very well. Do a MAFO. The people who overtly break the law, post the evidence to the internet for an eternity, then go on the internet afterwards and say, what are you going to do about it? Are now finding out what can be done about it. This is the man who's wearing an F asterisk CK Trump hat. Why even put the asterisk in there? Why not just say it? And a shirt that says no kings, I guess. Put up a post. This is one of the guys who was involved. This guy went through the church, had I forget what he was chanting. Idiocy is what he was chanting. But he put up a video that said this.
Yesterday, I went into a church with Nakima Armstrong and I protested these white supremacists. The pastor of the church is a fucking ICE leader in the city.
As you can see, all these pretend Christians, all these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps.
I wonder why this guy thinks children are being dragged into concentration camps. Fredo Cuomo. What did he say here?
So, you know, Pam Bondi, you want to come and arrest me? You want to come and give me charges? So be it.
Yesterday.
Dude's facing charges. This is a tweet from Pam Bondi. Okay, charges have been filed. There was the other woman who is also facing charges, and we'll get to it. So 2 people have been arrested thus far in connection with the church protest. I love it how they say it wasn't, we weren't disrupting, we were invited. We didn't break the law, but it was a protest. We're doing it to fight Whitey. And, but we were actually praying there. We were actually protesting there. Hold on, before we get there, let me I got to play this clip because it's just absolutely glorious. Like it's as though it's gaslighting of the highest order, where they forget that the internet is forever. And they think people are stupid. They think people are as stupid as they are. To deny reality that we all saw with our own eyes, as though the internet is not forever, and as though they didn't willingly post evidence of their own criminality on the internet. And then they come and tell you that what you saw never actually happened and you're crazy for thinking it happened.
And I do want to correct something that was said in the beginning. We did not rush into that church. We actually went and sat down and participated in the service. And after the pastor prayed, that is when I stood up and asked him a question in response to his prayer. And then he responded to me. And then I proceeded to ask him about Pastor David Easterwood and how is it possible for him to serve as both the pastor and the director of ICE for Minnesota.
Pause it right there. Mentioning the guy's name. Like, I love it when people mention my name. They think on Twitter, like it's a gotcha. They say, what do you mean, David Freiheit? I ran for the government. I ran for People's Party of Canada in Montreal, in Canada. It's sort of like, I call it a constitutionalist party of Canada. Hold up. And people think like it's somehow an act of intimidation to say somebody's name as if they're not proud of their name. My last name literally means freedom in German. That being said, when this woman, after the protests, after the attacks on ICE agents, goes on CNN and mentions the guy's name and which church that he is allegedly a pastor at, you know damn well what they're doing. That is the dog whistle of all dog whistles. That is bona fide doxing for the purposes of letting people know who he is, what his name is, and where he can be found.
Possible for him to serve as both the pastor and the director of ICE for Minnesota. And instead of responding to me, as soon as I said the name David Easterwood, the pastor says, shame, shame. And that is when I led us in chants, justice for Renee Good and hands up, don't shoot. So
hands up, don't shoot. They're still repeating that lie. Never happened, hands up, don't shoot. It was a lie perpetrated. Which panel was it? Was it on CNN or MSNBC? One of those two propagandist organizations. She said the guy's name now 3 times, the church at which he works, and repeated a lie that never happened for the purposes of fanning their 2 minutes of hatred. And they know damn well, with the attacks on ICE agents, exactly what they're doing.
Clarify that. We didn't rush in. We didn't bust in. We were a part of the service until I got up and posed that question to the pastor.
We were a part of the service after we, even if what she's saying is true, surreptitiously snuck in and hid ourselves until we started protesting. We were part of the service until we disrupted the service.
All right. And obviously, I'm not
and pose that question to the pastor.
All right. And obviously, I'm not going to dispute your saying what happened.
Of course you wouldn't. Why would you? It's not like there's video about it. What's her name again? Oh, gosh, what's this woman's name on the top? I'll get it in a second. I'm not going to dispute your side of things because it's not like there's not ample video posted by your soon-to-be co-defendant showing exactly what happened. I'm not here to fact-check you. I'm not here to call you a liar, or at the very least even to say, yeah, but there's a lot of video out there that seems to show you guys actively disrupting the services, including video of Don Lemon interrogating the pastor after the services had been disrupted, interrogating church congregants who fled in fear. There's a lot of evidence of it there that suggests what you just told me is a big, fat, bold-faced lie, but I'm not here to do that. It's CNN. Aaron Burnett. Out in front with Aaron Burnett. I'm not here to actually do that. It's CNN. A new standard for propaganda.
Merely describing how CNN is describing it. I obviously wasn't in the room. But that moment that you're talking about, and obviously the way you lay it out could dramatically affect things, but the moment you talk about justice.
I mean, obviously your lie, if it were true, would radically change reality. Unfortunately, your lie is a lie, and it isn't true, and it won't change reality. Now, we get into the charges, people. We've seen all the evidence. It's out there for an eternity. They've lined up their exhibits. They got their arrests. 3 people involved in a Minnesota church protests are arrested as judge refuses to charge Don Lemon. Well, darn it. I was trying to save that punchline for the last part of the show, the last part of the segment, but Minneapolis, a prominent civil rights attorney, and at least 2 other people involved in the anti-immigration enforcement protest that disrupted a service at Minnesota church have been arrested. Trump administration said Thursday, even as a judge rebuffed related charges against journalist Don Lemon. I mean, why I would put so-called journalists. Developments unfolded as Vice President J.D. Vance arrived in the state. Attorney General Pam Bondi announced the arrest of Nakima Levy Armstrong in a post on X. On Sunday, we always saw that part. Justice Department quickly opened civil rights investigation after the group interrupted services by chanting ICE, justice for Renee Good. Listing out loud, we do not tolerate attacks on places of worship, the Attorney General wrote on X. City's church belongs to the Southern Baptist Convention and lists one of its pastors as David Easterwood, who leads the local ICE field office. Many Baptist churches have pastors who also work other jobs. Attorneys representing the church hailed the arrests. This is what you call FAFO. The U.S. Department of Justice acted decisively by arresting those who coordinated and carried out the terrible crime, said Doug Wardlow. Good. Vance threatens the protesters with prison terms. Okay. You cannot lead a congregation while directing an agency whose actions have cost lives and inflicted fear in our communities. She said she's entitled to her opinion. When officials protect armed agents, repeatedly refuse meaningful investigations into killings like Renee Good's and signal they may pursue peaceful protests, this is not justice, this is intimidation. Well, speaking of intimidation, is, doing exactly what they just did. Arrests follow DOJ civil rights investigation. Longtime activist in the Twin Cities, Levy Armstrong has helped lead local protests, yada, yada, yada. Homeland Security Kristi Noem posted a photo on X of Levy Armstrong with her arms behind her back. FBI Director Kash Patel posted on X that Chantil Louisa Allen, the second person Bondi said was arrested, is charged under the Freedom of the Face Act, which prohibits physically obstructing or using the force to interfere with people with going to productive health or places of worship. Now, let's get to Don Lemon. Let's get to the Don Lemon part. Judge rejects. I don't want to do that at all. The judge rejects charges against a journalist. Magistrate judge rejected federal prosecutor's bid to charge journalist Don Lemon related to the church process. A person familiar with the matter said Thursday. Person spoke on a condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to publicly discuss the ongoing investigation. Lemon was among those who entered the church. Once the protests started in the church, we did an act of journalism. We saw all that. It wasn't immediately clear what the Justice Department would do after the judge's decision. Authorities could return to a magistrate judge to again seek a criminal complaint or an indictment against Lemon before a grand jury. So it's interesting. I mean, you got some swift action there. And understandably and righteously so, you don't get to interrupt church services without outraging the better part of America. Had this been, like I said, had this been a synagogue, it would have been a hate crime. There would have been people up in arms throughout the world. Seems that the only group of people you can seemingly attack with impunity, I won't say are white Christians, is basically what it looks like. And so it's high time, but a matter of necessity that they had to come down hard on this, because if people have the political permission slip that they think they obviously have to storm church services to exact their form of street justice, it's only a matter of time before it escalates into something far more serious. There are a lot of people, I don't know about Minnesota, who attend church armed. And if people come in looking like they're going to cause harm to people in the congregation, you might have a severe escalation real quick. Like, there have been quite a few shootings at churches, and if people don't know who's coming in, under what pretexts, and what they're going to do once they start disrupting services, which is already next level, you might have a massive escalation among citizens. And so they came down hard, and it's good. And they get the credit that they deserve for doing this. I want to highlight one thing. You know, Glenn Beck put out a 13-minute video earlier today, and I reshared it. And I said, Glenn is, in my view, 100% right on a lot of this. That doing the job that they are appointed to do it's good, and you deserve credit where credit is due. Period. Full stop. Addressing like contemporaneous problems, addressing contemporaneous acts of criminality is what you would call administering justice. It's what you call managing the country that you are appointed to manage. There is a difference between management or administration and I don't want to say revolution, because that's not the right word. Reform is the word I'm looking for. There's a difference between managing, administering, and reforming. And in as much as the current DOJ is managing and administering current acts of criminality, good. It's what needs to be done. It's what the DOJ is there for. What has been not just promised, because promises are one thing, what is necessary, what is absolutely needed at this point, above and beyond administering current contemporaneous acts of criminality, is reforming the institutions that allowed for the weaponization of the DOJ under the prior administration. And so, in as much as an administration deserves credit for properly administering justice under their current administration, this administration, beyond managing, needs to reform the corrupt DOJ, the corrupt FBI that led to 4 years of persecution of American citizens. And it's that level of frustration that Glenn Beck was highlighting earlier today, where it's very nice. You can come out and arrest two, three people. I won't give him heck for not getting Don Lemon, because you are dealing with judicial activists who frustrate the administration of justice. So it's good. They can come down in the most public, egregious acts of anti-Christian hatred. I won't say violence. Some might say that's a little too hyperbolic. That they arrest people and make it known that it is not fair game to interrupt church services, even if you've been given that political permission slip by your governor, Tampon Tim, or your mayor, Jacob Fry. That it's not going to be tolerated, and that's fine. Where the frustration is that these institutions and the deep state that is at the core of the rot of the swamp needs reform, and not just dealing with problems as they arise in real time. You want to go after Bill Clinton for his thumbing his nose at the subpoena, that's fine. These are things that occurred contemporaneously. These are things that occurred after promises of drain the swamp and root out the deep state corruption within the DOJ and the FBI. So you deal with those problems, and that's good. Reform is not just needed, it's essential. It's existential. And you can't blame people for saying it's very good. Fine, you got these people. I mean, this was in everybody's faces, but we need the institutional reform that Trump knows is required as a matter of existential seriousness for his administration and for these United States of America. So those are the arrests, and it's good. What did Nick Sortor have to say about this? He has a good clip here. Check this out.
Playing the entire time. So, Pam Bondi, you want to come and arrest me? You want to come and give me charges? So be it. And for all the people giving me death threats, threatening my life, kill me. Go ahead, kill me. Because you know what? As Fred Hampton said, you can kill the revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution.
Still wearing the hat.
Still playing.
Still wearing the hat. So that's what's going on there.